Testing. Okay, good morning and welcome to my session. I'm happy this room is full. All right, good. So since the group is small, we will have a dialogue. Do you agree? It's a good idea to have an interaction around this topic. Okay, so I'll just start with a small story. 3 years ago, we started having conversations with a group of CEO, about 60 to 70% in APAC, about 10 to 20% from Europe, and about 10% in the US. Because they told me it's very difficult to reach the CEOs in the US. There seem to be 10 levels of approvals by the time we reach out to one of them and ask them 10 questions. So for this, for the 3 years, we received a lot of verbatim feedbacks. So we got hold of the CEOs, had the conversations with them, asked them about the economic conditions, asked them about talent, asked them about what is, the most often said, what keeps you awake at the night, right? Looks like there is a lot of items. That list is growing for them. So in the 3 years, what we have noticed is what was the either third from the bottom or fifth from the bottom started moving up in terms of talent issues, right? But also along with it was cost. Either it was cost avoidance, or it was cost management, cost containment, reduction. All of it was related to that, and probably that is because of the economic conditions aligned to that. So last year when we had the final chat with them, they said, can you give us something? Don't give us a lot of reports. Okay, we get bombarded with information already, right? All of you do, all of us do, because our session this morning was a lot of information. So give us something which is relevant to our business, that will help us make decisions, that will help us overcome the current challenges, right? And using the organizational influence. And towards the end of the session, I'll show you a video. You'll understand how it all connects, all right? But the most important thing we realized was, for them, they wanted to see, apart from the issues related to economic conditions and cost, was there something else they can lead the organizations with? So that comes up to our theme for the 2013 Executive Outlook Report, where we reached out to almost about 200 people across the world to get them to answer 16 questions, and they did answer all of them. So the theme we chose was leading for innovation and growth. How do you apply organizational innovation to ensure that you take the lead in the market? Be it incremental innovation or be it proactive innovation, which makes the biggest impact in your business is what we looked at. Now, before I start off my session, that was my prologue. Has anyone heard of this place called Chili Court? It's a small place in Missouri State in the US. Anyone familiar with that? Okay. Before I come to the answer on that, what do you think is the most important innovation in this century? Apart from iPhone? Nah. Anyone? Sorry? Google. Google, innovation then? I'm going to talk about all of that in a while. I'm going to talk to you about the most innovative countries, the most innovative products, all right? And I'm also going to talk about the most innovative companies, all right? Okay, so actually what I wanted to talk about was Chili Court is in Missouri. It's a place where the inventor, Otto Rottweiler, he invented the sliced bread. I still feel that's one of the most innovative inventions which has happened. Okay, now the reason why I say that it's a combination of innovation and invention. Okay, sliced bread. Can you imagine we were cutting bread and this guy just found a way to automate the entire process? And guess what? We are still paying royalty to him. That's the kind of how people look at innovation and invention. And one of the things someone recently asked me is, what's the difference between innovation and invention? Can someone help me? Or share with your groups, peer groups? Go ahead.
Innovation is probably doing something in a different way, which has already been done, probably better. Invention is probably doing it for the first time.
Okay, almost there. All right. Innovation is taking something which is existing and improvising on it. Okay, I have enough classic examples from that, from Steve Jobs all the way through what he has done, and of course Google and etc., all about existing ones that improvised. Invention is about not having something at all and starting from scratch. So what are those inventions which we call innovations as well today? There are top 10 in the world. Everybody talks about it. So what do you think are the most important ones? Apart from the electric bulb? What else do we have? Electricity? Sorry, phone? Yep. Internet, right? What else do we have? Somebody said antibiotics, right? So, of course, if you talk to an engineer, he will say straight away combustion engineer. Combustion engine was the first, which of course changed. And then if you go a little bit further to someone who's a bit more philosophical, they'll say the wheel. The wheel helped start moving everything proportionately, right? So coming back to companies, and I'm sure there is enough statistics out there which declares the kind of companies which is innovative. Without hurting anybody in this room, who do you think is the most innovative of companies, organizations? 3M? Scotch tape, yep. And Post-its as well, right? Who else? Somebody recently said Salesforce to me. Are all of us on Salesforce? An integrated cloud-based CRM system which connects everything in a much more easier way than a client-based system, right? Which helps businesses, driving businesses. Amazon changed the buying patterns of organizations, right? People used to go and visit. Now it's all done, including book buyings and so on. Tencent. Anyone familiar with Tencent? Go ahead. Kokin, tell us about it. Correct. They changed the wave in China in terms of social media activation. And of course, I would fail in my duty as a speaker today without naming Apple, right? Okay, so countries. When we were talking about countries, it's always a challenge. What parameters do you use as you would name countries as innovative countries, right? So since we are in Singapore, can we take a guess where Singapore stands worldwide in terms of innovation? It's a rank. Group of people came together, they put it on Bloomberg. Want to take a guess? How many Singaporeans in this room? Good, come on, let's go. Okay, I'll give you a clue, okay? It's in the top 10. Ah, I see, now everybody's saying, oh, good. Now you can take a guess. Any guesses? Almost there, we are 7. Singapore is 7, top 7. Okay, so number 1? Got it, United States. Number 2? Sorry? Okay, clue. It's in Asia. Number 2 in the world, Korea. Got it. South Korea it is. All right, then you have Germany, and you highlighted Germany as number 3. We have Finland, Sweden, Austria, Denmark, France, and so on. Yeah, okay. So it's good that we are seeing Asian country representation in the top 10. We're also seeing European country representation in North America as well. Now, what did they use to evaluate them? Number 1 was R&D. Number 2 was productivity. Number 3 was patents. So when I asked the question about patents, this is innovation correlated. So how many patents did South Korea raise in a day, average? And all of these are leading to something which I'm going to talk about in a while. My presentation hasn't started. They were raising 300 patents a day. So now you know in terms of the innovation ranking how they're moving, right? So it's about products or services they were compiling and putting it into patent submissions, which takes time to be trademarked or recorded and so on. Okay? So with that, shall we start? Okay, I just wanted to give an overview about innovation, invention, so it gives us more flavor in terms of the theme which I'm going to take. Because I hate to show numbers, and I'm going to do it now. All right, so let's put some flavor around it. So one of the first things we asked the CEOs was, what do you expect of 2013? So majority of them did come back and say they did expect growth, because for the last 3 years they were struggling. So they said, we hope. In my conversation, some of it was verbatim, some of it was statistical. They said, we hope to see growth. But along with them was another CEO who said, hope is only found in the church. So it was painful for me, but we have to accept. Analysts are not going to accept a hopeful word from a CEO when he's reporting his financials up there. But having said that, we also looked at the stats across APAC, and we combined Europe and Americas together. We clubbed it so that we look at a better visual around it. 88% said it's positive. Okay, 88 said positive, a combination of what I would say marginal and significant growth. All right, but when you just scale it down into the geographies, you would see more healthy reporting from APAC. We understand everybody is in APAC, everybody is talking about APAC, and everybody has got enough challenges in APAC. I'm yet to hear anybody who said, no, I don't have challenges in APAC. All right? Now, having said that, the challenges are not necessarily in the same platform, right? You have a different set which is going on in Europe, and we are hoping that those things are being rectified as we move forward. In Americas, we have a different set of challenges we are also looking at, but it's improving. We see Americas improving. We see Europe still stagnant to a certain extent, but we see the responses that we received significantly or marginally showed growth in APAC, among the APAC CEOs, because 60 to 70% of the aggregate responses still came from Asia-Pacific CEOs. Now, as we move forward, sustaining growth. So there is a priority, a focus on profit generation and core business. So when we did talk about the idea of implying or applying innovation in the organization, a lot of them thought it's about spending money, and which they did not want to. The rest of the group said, it's diverting my focus. My core business is manufacturing a particular product, and I need to reach this market. Why do I want to do a blue ocean or R&D around it, spend money, get distracted, and then lose my way through? All right? Am I able to be a risk taker or be risk aversive? All right? So while most of the responses we received were showing interest or intent, we also noticed that the core focus is something they did not want to deviate. So I'll take a quick straw poll in this group. How many of your leaders are still driving the same message of stay core focus business only versus take a risk, fail fast? Okay, that's 3 people in this group. So which one did you say? Fail fast or stay focused on core? So the rest of you, can I say fail fast group? My CEO says fail fast. He says if you take an investment into an area, go to a certain extent, and if you can't, fail fast, rather than still hoping. Again, reminds me of the church, that it will come profitable later. All right? Okay, so in terms of profit generating activities, 37% of the group said, which still is high in the group. 27 or 22% of the group said they wanted to have individual accountability attached to it. So a measurable outcome is important for them. All right? And the rest of them are distributed across the rest of the groups. So I just wanted to take a note, quick, maybe one of you can share with me, any new product that you have launched in the last 12 months that you're open to share? Go ahead.
So we've developed a new product that leverages existing intellectual property that we own in the form of Lominga, and it's a career development platform which is enabled through iOS technology. Was launched last year, so it absolutely is a new product leveraging and innovating on existing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else in the group? Go ahead. So these are providers, huh?
Hi, I'm from PeopleStrong. We've developed this platform product called Insights, which gathers all data from all our different service lines from hire to retire, aggregates them together, and on one touch is able to provide leading data, leading indicators to the CEO and the head of HR.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Anyone else? Any new product that you have launched? There's a reason why I'm asking this question, because I'm just taking a straw poll out of this group, I think about 50 of you here, or 40 of you here in this room. We're looking at what kind of innovations are we applying in rolling out new products. Now, the next question to both of you, is it profitable? 12 months, huh?
I would say yes, it is profitable from the perspective that the marginal cost of developing it had already been absorbed through the acquisition of the intellectual property previously. So yes, any new solution is, and I neglected to mention the name of it before, it's Forte.
Okay.
It's called Forte.
All right, okay.
So since the launch around a year ago, 6 customers, 4 large customers in India, and 2 in APAC.
Okay, so I take it's profitable.
Yeah.
It's going good. Okay, good.
Hot
Thank
and
you.
selling.
Thank you very much. Anyone from the buy side? From your industry side? Okay, we are still focused on core business. All right, good. Okay, now I just wanted to take a step back and look at a bird's eye view on the overview of the global economic activity. So, but more in terms of touching into APAC. And if you see the trends, right, you have, of course, the 2 giants here driving most of it, but across the region we are still holding at about 4 to 5 plus on the higher side in terms of growth, economic growth, GDP growth. You reflect EMEA's state of conservative numbers given the economic situation there is clear cut, and all of you are aware on what's happening, and some of you are global companies, you would see this trending there. And you see a sense of slight improvement in the US as we are moving forward. Now, when we did talk to them about this question, there was one specific question on the economic changes. Now, if I'm a global CEO, how do I see where my investment and the biggest returns are going to? Am I making a decision on my market, which has got my largest penetration in America or North Americas? Or if I do see a set of challenges in Europe, what am I doing? Am I taking a back seat there? Or in APAC, do I pick and choose my market? Because I understand some markets are going at full throttle, but then you have a set of different set of challenges around that, regulations and so on, versus I have to now pick and choose, cherry pick my choice, right? So my next question to all of you would be, in the last 12 months, is there countries that you have added, that you have known, that you are aware of, to your business portfolio? Any of the geographies. Now, we all know the favorite geographies, right? APAC, right? Everybody knows the favorite geographies. But in APAC, there are sub geographies. Do you agree? There are emerging areas where people are going into now, Vietnam, Myanmar, and so on. Everybody is talking about Indonesia. Anyone from Indonesia in this group? Okay, everybody is talking about Indonesia. Then, of course, this is over and above what's happening in India and China. Now, in Europe, we are talking about the Eastern European group. And in Americas, we are talking about LATAM. Correct? Now, these are the conversations which is going on. So back to you. Any areas that you have added, and you could probably say why, to the benefit of this group. Go ahead.
So we primarily for the last few years were an Indian supplier, but with reference, we've of course gone into APAC. The two countries are China, particularly southern China, Chengdu and Guangzhou, and Manila, Philippines. Yes.
Good. Could you tell us why Chengdu and Manila?
Yes,
or Makati?
it's primarily innovation technology, which is seamless, which is able to integrate not only locations in India, and they're very large global organizations, so it seamlessly integrates all of them together to standardize and govern in one go.
Okay, thank you. Without naming your companies, could you tell me if you have exited a country? Go ahead. Which country? Oh, okay. Any reason that? Laos, huh? Anyone else? Dave, you seem to have an answer for all my questions.
So, way back 2009, the United States.
Oh my, you withdrew from US.
And you know the reason, the year tells it all.
Oh,
so.
Thank you. Anyone else? It's an interesting view for us to understand because we want to benefit from this session today, all of us, yeah? Okay, so let's go ahead. Now, most expect to grow this year. We touched upon this topic, but what is interesting is you still have a positive outlook that we are looking at. Now, when you go into the countries, you would see different countries growing at different pace. Now, Singapore, what is the current growth rate? Thank you for that precise information. Today's newspaper. So we are talking about the right topic, hot off the press. Okay, now how are we heading towards the year? Yes, that's the best estimates I would put it. We will be probably safe at 3%, right? Okay, let's take some of the examples. Okay, China came out of the latest GDP plans, and I think you know what is it? About 7.8, 8%. Yeah, almost there. India was slightly set back. Yeah, about 6%. Okay. Indonesia? We don't know, right? But yes, it is growing at a faster pace, and I'm hearing from the conversations that I'm having that it is on a faster pace than compared to India and China. But the statistics which is coming out is different. Okay, but from the voice of the CEO, I'm clearly hearing that the pace is fast. It's probably accelerating at the point of high end of what China is doing right now. And that is probably the closest Southeast Asian tiger that we have in terms of the pace at which they are growing right now. Okay. All right, now impact, of course, you're talking about North America and Europe combined. We're talking about at least 55% of them saying that there is a kind of good business outlook there. But I would say that is because of an impact in the European markets that we are having that. Now, even having said that, European markets, some pockets are still steady, right? Some pockets of countries and businesses are still steady. Would you agree with me? Right? So a couple of indicators said that Germany is heading in the right direction in terms of labor participation, and we are looking at trend because job creations always relate to that immediate impact to the economic conditions, right? Any other country that you are hearing in the European belt that is looking at slightly on the upper end? Okay, I'm hearing one particular industry picking up, shared services. Correct? Shared services is picking up in the European belt. So lots of demands which is happening around that. Within its own complexities, it's still a progressive economy or business or industry, I would say. So certain industries are picking up in areas, Prague and a few other locations. We're still having conversations around it, but I would say that those pockets of businesses are still healthy, right? Okay, so in terms of focus areas to strengthen competitiveness, and this is a point and probably something for us to ponder upon, which groups of people or products or services that makes the biggest impact or what are the factors when we integrate in our business that allows us to sustain that? And the primary one is organization and employee. So in essence, it's the organizational culture, all right? So we have about 65% focus fully in engaging each employee to maintain the business. Employee engagement is a conversation which we are hearing more often than not this year. Every client conversation I've had is how are they applying employee engagement to have better returns to their business and to have better innovation in their businesses, right? Okay, so why do you apply employee engagement? 4 reasons. Key reasons are productivity, increase in productivity, better retention rates, better client engagement, and also making sure that for the first time we have all the diversified or diverse workforces, right? We have the boomers, the X, the Y, and the new ones all coming together. Although I hate to put an alphabet around them, it is the fact, right? And probably the biggest impact we just heard across the next room was almost 40 to 50% of the world population is going to be dominated by the Y generation, right? And in Southeast Asia, if you pick it out, and it's a clear cut that we have this group of people who are going to influence the decision. So one of them asked us, is it innovation that you apply to engage with them? Usually their managers are either in the X generation or the boomers generation, right? How do you look at engaging with them to build a healthy organizational culture? If you're looking at applying proactive innovation, how do you embed that in the organizational culture? Could I hear your thoughts? Any one of your organization where you're applying something related to that? One, we know there are different generations for the first time. 2, how do you ensure that you embed into this organization, into the organizational culture, the ability of proactive innovation? So we heard a while back there were 2 companies who launched a new product, right? In the last 12 months. So maybe from that cue, do you have any thoughts around it? I told Sharon, don't put me just in front of the lunch session. And she did it. All right, okay, so product innovation had about 53% in terms of integration. Policy, as a policy, how many companies are looking at innovation? How many of them apply technology, education, and environment, the entire environment as part of the CSR efforts as well as the innovation abilities as well? Now, having said all of this, how are we looking at promoting innovation as a proactive approach? Make it measurable. So now this question you have to answer. How many of your companies already have a measurable goal established for innovation for your employees? Go ahead. Maybe you could share your thoughts.
We do have a set of the company's core values, and one of them is actually innovation. And at the end of the performance period, which is a year, your manager will have to measure you against that. And then under that goal, you will have to put down what activities or what projects or initiatives that you would like to do in that area.
Okay, good. Thank you. Which company, by the way?
GE.
GE. Give her a clap, guys. It's probably one of those few companies who have set that as part of every employee's, almost every employee's goal. Anyone else? So I think it's time we have to start looking. Okay, got it. Central value, but your measurable goals are attached to it? Okay, excellent. So the reason why I'm asking is if you have not, I think it is time, because if you're looking at proactive strategy, and some of you already have it, but looking at it from a measurable angle is going to be critical. Yeah, and if you see, about 42% of them are saying that it is already in place. It's already in place. About 20% of the group are still saying they want to stay co-focused business. And I think we can't rule that out because they have their immediate needs. In the past, you had CEOs reviewed on an annual basis, right? Today, quarterly. I think it's already becoming monthly now, right? I know it's quarterly because Nasdaq listed and the stock exchanges will expect you to report on a quarterly basis. But then we are also looking at the shareholders expecting almost every month in terms of how they're doing it. Can you imagine the frustration if it cascades down the organization? Imagine the impact if you're having conversations every week or every month about this, yeah? But having said that, I guess that's the immediate need, and we could see it. We could see it clearly with the conversations of the CEOs we are having. They said, we want to stay put in where we are heading, make sure that that is profitable, use that to have incremental innovation applications later, rather than proactive innovation. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but the approach is a conservative approach, because they want to know that they are stable, right? And then they apply that into incremental innovation as they move forward. Okay, so based on the different types of companies, we noticed that those having measurable goals are across, of course, the multinational firms are already having it, global firms are already established. But interestingly to note that the government or the government-linked firms are still at the low end on those categories. However, they want to stay focused because it's probably regulatory. They want to ensure that it is maintained. They don't want to change it. But if you look at the disparity over the rest of the groups, it's still strong for almost 50% saying it is important to have all the measurable goals for innovation and returns related to that. So, of course, when you apply innovation, you need to start looking at revenue, right? Apart from investment and expenses. So 45% of those with a proactive approach are expecting a significant growth in their revenue. Okay, again, I'm not applying hope here. The hope formula is not there. I'm talking about reality because they have put in measurable goals. They have set a marginal growth plan, a sustainable growth plan, and a significant growth plan for their businesses. And you also notice that there will be some people who will not change. They don't intend to change what they're already doing. And if you notice the ones in this blue group, it's quite clear. You still have up to probably 10% of them saying no, we will maintain what we are doing. Yeah, but again, you remember the story of Kodak, right? They did something, they found it, but they kept it under wraps, and then the world changed, right? When they came out, they went out of business. Like, we have a lot of examples to talk about it, and in your own countries, in your own regions, you would have also seen your competitors. Some of them are positioned ahead, some of them are not. You would also notice that in your peer industry, peer group, which are the ones which is heading in terms of the right direction as well. How are we heading with time? Okay, wow. I thought I'm going to do the presentation. You might get some extra time, you know. Okay, all right, good. So one of the things which we have seen as part of this exercise is, and in terms of recommendations, I'm not saying these are hard truth, hard recommendations, but it is important to apply the proactive approach. And the reason why I'm saying is in this room itself, we just noticed that a couple of you had, maybe the rest of you were shy to tell the innovation approaches that you are applying in your businesses, but it looks like it is inevitable now. If you do not have that the readiness to apply that in your businesses as HR leaders or business leaders, you're going to be you will fail. It's clear cut. Now, having said that, in APAC, what are the cultural impacts that you're seeing? Now, recently I saw an advertisement from Huawei. They are into submerged networking. right? Globally, they are integrating the submerged network in Asia. And they showed a group of people who opted to do this because it is pretty dangerous for them to do either the underwater or the Arctics and so on. And this group of people chose to take it, and they were benefited. They were given recognition for that as well. And their entire team's photo was put up in that. Have anyone of you seen that? The Huawei ad recently which came out? How did this group of people take that initiative, take that risk, pro-risk move of doing that exercise and becoming one of the world's first in establishing submerged networks, right? And some of it has to go subsea level and below and so on. In terms of safety, you are talking about employee safety, ensuring that all of that is covered as well. Having said that, we look at to other cultural aspects. How are leaders looking at risk? If you take the country risk denominators, how many of the leaders are taking the risk to make the change? How many of them are risk aversive or conservative in terms of applying that proactive innovation? Okay? So, in conclusion, I think the biggest challenge for us as we see this year move forward, of course, in terms of solution, we know applying proactive innovation for the organization culture will ensure that we are looking at growth. The growth parameters vary. Some of it is sustainable, some of it is marginal, some of it is incremental. But we're also looking at the readiness to change within as a company. How many leaders are ready to change within? All right? How many of your new technology that you applied in your company has been receptive? How many of it has been sabotaged? How many of it has been delayed? Let's take a real-time example. If you just come out of it and go, when a provider works with a client, and I know a couple of stories, but probably we want to hear from you. When a provider works with a buyer, provides the services, HR outsourcing services, how many of the projects that you have managed went successful? Let's be really honest about it. Huh? How many of you went through the trials and tribulations in the first 90 days? And how many of you are still going through after a year? Right? Imagine there is one business that is won from Singapore across the region. There's one particular location. Somebody in Thailand says, no, I'm fine with it, I don't need your help. And here the organization leader is driving that change, introducing the outsourcing services across to them. And in his book or her book, it's about applying innovation so that we can build better business models, better results for us by applying this service. But then there is one who's saying no. Okay, I'm not interested. And is adamant about it. That's one type of group. There's another type of group. Sure, yes, we will sign and then appoint another one. Have you heard of them as well? Parallelly running two vendors. You will have one global vendor and then one local vendor. Imagine the nightmare for the provider. All right? I'm not sure how much it affects the business, but if you look at applying the readiness to change and the will, the political will, the business will to make sure that that goes through across is the biggest impact. Without any non-disclosure issues, is there anyone who can talk about that one issue that they have resolved? Anyone from this audience? For the benefit of the rest. One particular, as a provider, you provide a service to a client, right? And you know you foresee challenges coming in. Probably a set of challenges has been defined. Even the stakeholders from the client side have indicated you will have to overcome this. Please be prepared. X person, Y person, Z person, you need to win him over or her over. How did you address that issue, number one? And how did you overcome that or resolve that? purely from a cultural aspect and the will to make that happen. Go ahead, Dave. No, I appreciate that. It's for the benefit of the group, because if you have gone through that issue, some of us are feeling really bad right now. Really, really bad, because we go through that every day, but we just cannot get out of it in some cases. So maybe that'll help.
So one of our customers is one of India's largest insurance companies. And we, of course, when we tied up with them, we did it at a corporate level. However, there were many circles, almost 26 circles, which we had to engage with. Now, when we started off, it was typically...
Did you say 26?
26
Okay.
circles across India and aligned to the states, right?
Yep, okay, got it.
And we, in the first quarter, faced so much of resistance from the people below in those circles because perhaps they'd not bought into this agreement. So we changed our strategy in focusing on those circles by creating an engagement platform where we were the mechanism where every week our teams were speaking with the circle heads, and finally it took about 5 to 6 months for them to be won over when they got the respect in terms of our expertise in being able to deliver. And finally, a year later, we'd hired at a frontline level close to 11,000 people for them.
Good, congratulations. Yes. So you applied...
So a lot of cultural change that we had to drive.
Town hall sessions.
At town halls, we had to engage with level 3, level 4 stakeholders, explain to them how they will win. We even did engagement exercises where we gave awards to the best sponsor and things like that, which motivated people at a ground level at the customer's end. We have every quarter we have the customer walking into our operational floor and those guys give away awards to the team that is our team here. So there's a lot of engagement, a lot of cultural change that we were able to drive.
Good, thank you, Dave, for that. Now, at the risk of being called fluffy about this kind of issues, right? You have organization leaders who say, talk to me about stiff numbers. Talk to me about results and ROI. Talk to me about how many people were onboarded, how many people were hired, what kind of service levels are we maintaining, are we at 99%, and so on and so forth. We have to look at communicating and reaching out, especially on a large scale projects such as this. And you're taking only about one country, right? And different states, and you have different languages across different states. So that is like a mini Asia there, right? You have how many languages there? 30, okay, yeah, spoken official languages. Sorry? By the mile. Okay. So it's a different set of cultural depth which you're looking at. And probably you can replicate some of these info to your region, to your business, to your aspects of what you own as a business leader and HR leader in your organization. I don't have the best solution for everything, all right? But today is about talking to you, understanding your views, appreciating your thoughts, this discussion together about how we can make that difference in applying proactive innovation in our business, all right, into something solid and that can look at measurable returns, all right? So having said that, I have some little friends who are going to come up in the screen in a short while, right? Are we ready for the cue? Now, I like the videos because it told me how quickly they can come together, how swiftly, and solve a problem which was going to be a disaster for them, and how do they overcome that. And hopefully proactive innovation comes from all the way around in our organization. So however little they are, whichever level in their organization they are, we need to make sure that we are listening and reaching out to them and keeping them part of the organizational culture. With that, video please. Audio is ready.
It's smarter to travel in groups.
Thank you very much.